That is a great feeling. But I'll tell you what feels really good. Having a Tooheys draft, a cold one, straight after the game.
Tooheys draft. Real taste, real beer.
That feels good.
Doyle caught it. This one's up over the top. Left for Fulmer to pick it up. He's got no support with him this time. He's taken over the top and eventually knocked to the ground by Kelly and company. He'll play it once again. Back it goes to Balmain. Out to Doyle. Through the gap. Still going. Oh, he just couldn't get it away. And Peter Johnson looming up on the outside. It's played to Fulmer. A pass this time to Gordon. Gordon's gone over for another try. They're shot. They're gone. They're RIP.
Break out the woolies and stand by as we head down to the Bruce Stadium for the Savos clash between Balmain and the ACT's tabletop in Canberra. League 90 is brought to you by LJ Hooker, Auto Village Holden, Liquor Stop and Tooheys. On Sydney's #1 footy station, here's Hollywood and Zorba.
A very good afternoon and welcome to Bruce Stadium in Canberra for what should be a magnificent game of rugby league between last year's grand finalists Balmain and the Canberra Raiders. The Canberra side this afternoon playing before a record crowd at Bruce Stadium. They estimate it to be between 26 and 28,000 here this afternoon to see the Green Machine play against the Balmain Tigers. And what a game this should be. The Canberra Raiders, coached by Tim Sheens. Their fullback is Gary Belcher. On the wings, Paul Martin, and the ageless Chicker John Ferguson. Big Chicken George, Mal Meninga, the captain of the Canberra Raiders, with Laurie Daly in the centres. How long will Daly last this afternoon? He's had the flu. Chris O'Sullivan and Ricky Stewart are the half 5'8" combination. Bradley Clyde, the brilliant young test lock for Australia, is certainly the lock forward this afternoon. Gary Coyne and Dean Lance are the second rowers. Glenn Lazarus and Brent Todd are the props. And Steve Walters is the hooker. Here's Hollywood with the Balmain Tigers.
Coached by Warren Ryan, the fullback Gary Jack, the wingers are James Grant and Stephen O'Brien. The centre combination, Ian McCann and young Timmy Brasher. 5'8", Michael Neal. The halfback is Gary Freeman. The lock forward is Kevin Hardwick. Second rowers are John Elias and Paul Sirinen. Brucey Maguire and big blocker Stephen Roach. Up front, Benny Elias, captain of New South Wales, captain of Balmain. He's the hooker this afternoon, and it's going to be a ripper.
Yeah, it certainly is. Bill Harrigan's the referee. Reserve grade 2 Canberra, 16 points to 8. And under 21s to the Canberra Raiders by 40 points to 14. Let's go to Tony Peters at the Sydney Football Stadium for the reserve grade full-time score.
Yes, a major surprise here, Peter. Competition leaders Eastern Suburbs have gone down 14 points to 0 to the Brisbane Broncos.
Okay, 14 points to 0, only their second defeat of the season, and a very good win to the Brisbane Broncos there against Eastern Suburbs in reserve grade. A tick on 3 o'clock now, and the sides will come through the tunnel. Magnificent complex here at Bruce Stadium. Sideline eye, Tony McGay down on the sideline now. Tony, what are the conditions like down there?
Well, a bit of a breeze blowing down the ground, but bitterly cold, Peter, and it cut a hole in you. Here they come out onto the field, led by Big Mel. But a capacity crowd. Here come the Raiders.
Okay, the Raiders running past Tony McGay at the moment, on their way onto Bruce Stadium. What a magnificent sight this is here. A very lush surface here. The grass looks as though it's been painted. It's that green here at Canberra, and certainly a wonderful venue for rugby league. The Australian Institute of Sport certainly has its headquarters here, and we thank Johnny Purnell, a member of our World of Football team, for the AIS hats and T-shirts that we'll proudly take home with us tonight. Fantastic venue here at Canberra, and the Australian Institute of Sport doing great things. And of course, Greg Alexander last week had his knee injury diagnosed here in Canberra, and he's on a special fitness campaign now to try and get back onto the field in the next couple of weeks. So sportsmen from all walks of life making their way to Canberra for the expert help that they get down here in all manners of sports medicine and training program. Okay, the Balmain Tigers bouncing Benny Elias. He's had a good time at captaincy lately, and certainly 5 in a row for Balmain, 1 for New South Wales, so he's got 6 out of 6. But here comes bouncing Benny now. Elias with his lieutenant, his master at arms beside him.
Looks like Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah, Jack and the Beanstalk, all right. Jack and the Beanstalk. And Big Steve Roach happy to be going into this one looking very fit, Bocker Roach, and certainly set for a big one this afternoon. Gary Freeman, John Elias, and last man out, the hard-working Kevin Hardwick. Gary Jack looking pretty good too. What a duel, 1 versus 1 this afternoon between Gary Belcher in the green and Gary Jack in the orange this afternoon. Terrific game of football this one should be. Good referee and Billy Harrigan to handle it, and uninterrupted football on Sydney's #1 footy station. 2GB News Talk 873 from Tui's, LJ Hooker, Liquor Stop and Auto Village Holden. What a beauty.
You're not wrong. Okay, now we've got Harrigan centre field, centre stage, whatever you want to call it. The ball being placed by Laurie Daly. He'll get this game underway. Harrigan just checking now to see the Balmain side is all A-OK. The green machine ready to get off the mark. And there he goes. And there goes the kick. A very, very high kick, bouncing about 4 metres from the line, straight into the arms of Tim Brasher for Balmain. He comes up to the 12-metre line before being knocked to the ground by Bradley Clyde. Back now to Ben Elias, across to Freeman. Good pass out to Roach, goes out to Jack. Across now into the arms of the centre three-quarter. On this occasion, the winger, James Grant. Back to Gary Jack to Freeman. Good pass on to Brucey Maguire. He makes up now to the Balmain quarter line. Back to Ben Elias, gives it out to big Paul Sirinen, taken on by Lazarus with a beautiful shoulder charge and knockdown.
I don't think it'll be too long before they kick, Greg. Elias trying to get away to kick the ball, but couldn't get in a good position. It's Maguire who puts his foot to the ball. Belcher will take this on the first bounce and put the Raiders on the attack.
Yes, and Balmain down there very quickly too, but Belcher around 1 or 2 left for Hardwick to knock him down. He's 2 metres over the halfway line. It's played back to Ferguson. Across now to Mal Meninga, wide to Stewart. Good pass out this time to O'Sullivan. Can't get past the tackle of McCann and is knocked down 10 metres on his own side of the halfway. Laurie Daly across now to Brent Todd. A good pass off to Martin. Goes back inside from the touch line. But again, he's picked up and put down by O'Brien. It's played to Wallace, goes across now to Dean Lance charging forward. Roach there to stop that run.
What a good player Dean Lance is. This Canberra side, not the same side as we saw earlier in the year without him when they lost a couple.
Back it goes to Mal Meninga, out wide to Laurie Daly. Tries to get around McCann, can't do that. Eventually is knocked down 2 metres short of the halfway line. Once again, it's played to Chicka Ferguson. He gives it across to Meninga. Meninga a kick downfield, forces Gary Jack to go across, takes the ball beautifully, 10 out from his own line. Will get up over the quarter, but he slips there. Easily taken by Coyne. Will play it on his own quarter line to Freeman, who offloads back now to Stephen O'Brien. He's going to be taken once again by Coyne and put down. Trapped on the Balmain quarter line, more or less in the centre of the ground. This time we see John Elias charging forward, but he's knocked down too, over the top by Lazarus and Wallers.
Very bunched up early in the game, Balmain, and they need to get that back line lined out a little bit too. Their forwards bunched up, but here's Big Sirinen straight up the centre of the ruck. He tramples over little Ricky Stewart, but Stewart hangs on for dear life and puts him to ground. Sideline eye Tony McGay as McCann kicks from dummy half and will find touch. A beautiful kick by McCann. It just trickles over in front of Belcher. 18 metres out from the Canberra Raiders goal line. Sideline eye Tony McGay.
Well, that heavy concentration already on Benny Elias. They forced him to offload instead of kicking, but already they're straight on to Benny.
Yeah, they certainly are, and they have to be. What a brilliant little player he is. Bouncing, Benny Elias, given the name here.
Now this scrum to go down, I feel sure they'll put the same pressure on Ricky Stewart when it's his turn, although he stands a little bit deeper, of course, but the feed is on now by Stewart. Canberra scrum win. Stewart across this time to O'Sullivan. The referee, Mr. Harrigan, has given a penalty to the Canberra side. He's got all the Balmain backs up where they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, well, they're certainly offside there, and that's an easy one. He's just, Elias said, what's that for? And he just put his hand up with the 5 fingers out and said, that's what it's for, Benny. And Elias, well, he wouldn't be too disappointed, I wouldn't think, because they had Canberra inside their own territory. But that just takes the pressure off, because Stewart is such a prolific kicker, or prodigious kicker of the football, that he'll find touch well over the halfway mark. Indeed he does. 10 metres, 11 metres on the Balmain side of halfway. Yeah. You can't afford to give them that start. Here's Brent Todd, who early in the year was going ordinary. We haven't seen him for a while. We'll run the peepers over him today.
Back now it goes to Wallace across to Glenn Lazarus. Sirinen up there very quickly to put him down 30 metres out from the Balmain goal line. A solid hit that was over the top. It's going to go back to Wallers. He gives it now to Coyne down the blind side. Back to Bradley Clyde through the gap. The pass has gone astray, knocked on by Lazarus. and the referee has to put the scrum down, and he's going to do that some 28 metres out from the Balmain goal line.
Well, Bradley Clyde waltzed through a gap there, and the ball was bouncing. Lazarus knocked it on, but then regained for the Canberra side. But certainly Bradley Clyde went through the gap with ease. Scrum win to Balmain.
Straight out to Freeman, across now to Michael Neal. He turns it back this time to McCann, goes around one.
Well, that's a silly run. He's gone straight
back into the forwards as they break up from
the scrum was. Yeah, straight back to the forwards, and they said, oh, thank you.
Hardwick now charging forward off a pass from Freeman, but he's going to be well and truly wrestled to the ground 31 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Once again, Benny Elias across to Stephen Roach, taken on two. Brent Todd's in there, along with Bradley Clyde, and Blocker goes to ground. Laurie Daly also involved. Back now to Benny Elias, gives it across to Bruce Maguire, turns it inside to John Elias, and Elias has got Benny Elias with him too, still going downfield. Freeman right up with him, but eventually Laurie Daly there to knock him to ground.
The Canberra players, here's Elias up the blind side.
Dummies goes around behind 2 or 3, gives it back to Siren and 2 on the charge. Oh, he's passed, goes straight into the arms of Ricky Stewart. Back now to Gary Belcher. He gets mobile, a long pass out wide to Meninga. McCann comes at him. McCann's got him too, and a good tackle from McCann to pull him down 28 out from the Raiders goal line.
He's got better with every game, that big tall young kid. Sister Kate told us about him last year, one of our listeners. And
yep,
you're spot on, sister.
You
you're
sure
back
are.
from Mass.
Oh, and Gary Coyne ducking under a tackle. It would have really put him into the dentist chair, that one, but it's gone back now to Lazarus charging forward. Oh, he steps over 1 or 2. Had the one-arm pass, Cock ready to go, but couldn't unload. Sirenen put him down. Now it's Wallace from the back of the ruck. He's found gaping holes in the defence, but he's pulled down by Roach. Gets up to play it back to Meninga. Benny Elias offside. Play on, says Bradley Clyde. Takes the football, goes through the gap, turns it back to Gary Belcher. Belcher puts it on the toe, picked up by Mel Meninga, and he's pulled down only 4 metres away. One tackle left to go.
Laurie Daly, it was 6 more to go.
Oh, penalty kick now to the Canberra side. It was Daly, and there's the penalty.
Oh, they gave that away, no doubt about the kick and the play the ball.
Did they?
That was at 6s and 7s, and it was Michael Neal who was involved there, just gave the penalty away. I think the referee should have played the advantage and then penalised them later. I think Canberra would have scored if they'd have got 6 more there and had a shot at the Balmain side. They were quite happy to concede that. It was a kick that came off a Balmain player that rebounded to Laurie Daly. Daly tackled a few metres short. Now Meninga brings it out outside the quarter, and they're certainly looking pretty good in this game. It's a huge crowd, and listen to them roar their support for the Canberra Raiders. Let's go. 4-footy tab on the Mitsubishi scoreboard to the Sydney Football Stadium. Tony Peters.
Brisbane 2, Eastern Suburbs 0.
Okay, and no score yet in the World Cup hockey between the Netherlands and Australia.
Mal Meninga now 9 metres in from touch. Just noticing too, Walters, a bit of a leg problem at this stage. But we've got Meninga 24 metres out, and he's pushed it well away to the right-hand side. No goal.
Well, that really paid off for Balmain. They gave the penalty away. They were happy to do so. I think they were lucky they didn't have a player in the sim bin for a deliberate penalty, and they're lucky to get out of that with no points. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Oh, they're hanging in desperately, but those flashing danger signals already. Bradley Clyde, 2 big breaks already.
Yeah, he's certainly a marvellous player right now. Belcher smothered in a good tackle by Michael Neal and Ian McCann.
Back it goes now to Ferguson, out there to Bradley Clyde, to Stewart, out to Meninga once again. Brasher got hold of him. He won't pass this time, and he's pulled the ground on his own quarter line. Big Mal Meninga. Daly, a dummy half across to Stewart again. Gee, they're giving plenty of air to the ball. Chris O'Sullivan trying to go between Hardwick and Neal, but to no avail.
Well, Greg, you've got Ricky Stewart who can pass the ball 30 metres into the breadbasket, and that's a big advantage that Canberra use. That's why they can get outside the defence and give them an overlap situation. Beautiful passer of the football, Stewart.
Back it goes to O'Sullivan, out to Daly again. Daly, a big one out to Chicken George Meninga. He gives it up down to Martin. Martin takes off down the touchline. He's got Meninga on the inside, but he goes to Gary Jack. Had 2 on the inside and couldn't get his pass away. 1 tackle left to go. Meninga at dummy half, gives it back to Stewart again. He drummies and kick along the ground. But Benny Elias was back there and read that play beautifully.
Yes, and he's lost the ball. He's lost the ball in the tackle, and it'll be a knock-on according to the referee.
Benny scratching his head. He knows it's a knock-on, but he got up to try and play it quickly, but he didn't get away with it.
No, he certainly didn't. He lost the ball, and it was a knock-on. It went forward, and Elias Stewart There's a desperate situation now. Canberra looking as though they're going to maul the Tigers here.
Stewart now from the back of the scrum, but he's going to be pulled down 2 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Plays it now to Walters, a long pass across this time from O'Sullivan to Gary Belcher. Belcher's shaping up out wide. Laurie Daly! Laurie Daly! Laurie Daly's got a try on. I feel it coming on. It's like a twoies, baby.
Ah, that's a magnificent try by Laurie Daly. A beautiful try by Daly. And it was Canberra after Elias had knocked on after taking a brilliant take. They just got the ball out from Chris O'Sullivan. Decoy to Meninga. Meninga just got in the way. Belcher gave it to Laurie Daly in the gap, and with McCann underneath and also Gary Jack over the top. It was a magnificent rugby league try. Brilliant work by Gary Belcher, drawing the opposition, and then Daly going in and planting the ball down for a magnificent Canberra Raiders rugby league try. 9 minutes gone, a try to Laurie Daly and a beauty. Excellent work by Mal Meninga to give Daly a bit of room, and this Canberra side, when they get the football, is certainly something else. Laurie Daly a try, and right now Belcher coming up to have the shot at goal for the conversion of the try that he was very instrumental in Daly scoring. Daly the try for Canberra, set up brilliantly by the fullback Gary Belcher. Belcher to have the shot at goal.
Yeah, 24 metres out, 8 metres in from the touchline. Gary Belcher to try and convert the tray from Daly. There it goes. Oh, it's a good looking kick. I'm here to tell you. Oh, ho, ho, 2 points.
Gary Belcher right between the uprights with a beautiful conversion of the try scored by Daly, and the Canberra Raiders lead by 6-0 on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
The Premier is pretty to watch. That was about the third break. Balmain were hanging on by their fingernails. It had to come.
They certainly did, and Elias will be kicking himself because he took a brilliant take there from the kick through by Stewart, but then knocked the ball on trying to get to his feet. On the Mitsubishi scoreboard, 6-0 here. Let's check them for footy tab at the Sydney Football Stadium. Tony Peters.
Red lights are flashing here. Brisbane 8, Eastern Suburbs 0.
8-0 to Brisbane over Eastern Suburbs. Back at Bruce now. It's Canberra in possession from the kick-off, a few metres out from their own goal line. Oh, Bradley Clyde just waltzes through some tackles.
Yep.
They look to have the wood on Balmain at the moment.
Yeah, gone out to Lazarus, charging forward 30 metres out from his own goal line and knocked to the ground. He'll get up the play it back to Walters. Sends it across to Stewart. Wide it goes to O'Sullivan, out to Meninga. Beautiful hands on to Gary Belcher. Then it goes out to Martin again, back inside to Belcher. He looks inside. He's going to give it to O'Sullivan, back to Coyne. Up over to O'Sullivan again. Steps inside of another one, but it's been rolled forward. Oh boy, they're hot. They're hot.
They're hot, all right. They're getting outside. They're getting outside the Canberra. They're getting outside the Balmain defence with ease, with beautiful passing. Pretty to watch. And Harrigan was right on the spot for that pass, and he's ruled it forward from Gary Coyne into Chris O'Sullivan. Okay, the halfback, Ricky Stewart, has had a bit of a
That's Martin in there being chastised
yeah, I know,
now.
but it was Stewart and Sirinen that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
They had a bit of a go at each other. The touch judge just talking to or reporting Martin. Gee, Balmain have got to get their act together. And here is Michael Neal moving up out wide. Well, if Balmain were offside early, Canberra were from that scrum too, but the referee's whistle didn't blow.
John Elias, a dummy halfback now. It goes to Tim Brasher. He tries to step 1 or 2, but slips over. He'll play it 30 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Ben Elias, a dummy half. It goes across now to Stephen Roach. He's going to be held up by Todd and Company, eventually going to ground centre field, 35 out from the Tigers goal line.
The Netherlands 1 lead Australia 0 in the World Cup hockey final.
Michael Neal now, he's put away and a tackle by Meninga. Got away from him, left for Clyde to finish him off. He'll play it. Back it goes now to Sirinen. Good pass on to Ben Elias, getting a kick downfield. I've got the Balmain back line offside. Belcher coming over. Ferguson's committed to take that one on the first bounce. He'll try to get around 1 or 2. Grant's desperately got hold of him. He still won't go down. Eventually he goes down now, 35 out from his own goal line. Gary Belcher, a dummy half, gives it across to Daly. Good pass to O'Sullivan, who picks up Clyde coming through. Beats Maguire's tackle, can't go past Freeman. Still 30 out from the Green Machines line. Stewart back to Todd, gives it into the arms of Dean Lance, and Dino's put down in a back-slamming tackle from Freeman. Okay, now it's Big Lazarus' turn to go forward. Maguire, you name them, they're all over the top of him, 10 short of the halfway line. He'll play it back to Walters again, who sends the ball to Ricky Stewart. A very hurried kick in downfield. Nevertheless, it's a rip snorter, bouncing and turning Gary Jack around towards his own goal line. 2 metres away from it. He turns, plenty of music down there too. And Walters, right around the legs. And O'Sullivan too in there to pull him down. Back it goes this time to Brasher. Charging forward, Coyne's got him. He'll play it 18 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Benny Elias at dummy half, looks for a ball carrier. Steve O'Brien in there. He's taken by Lazarus over the top just before he can reach his quarter line.
Some of these Balmain forwards have got to start working. Roach, he's taken it up now, but no support for him. And Balmain with their hands on their hips at the moment up against this green machine. Canberra lead by 6-0. Freeman goes out from dummy half, gives it to McCann, and McCann has lost the ball, but he's regained it, but it'll be a knock on, and a scrum will go down 30 metres out from the Balmain goal line, and the Tigers in a lot of trouble here at Bruce Stadium. They're not really moving well, and Canberra appear to be able to pick them up on the outside with consummate ease to get the overlap. Balmain offside again in the back line, but he's going to give Canberra a chance to run. Knocked on there. Now he could give the penalty. No, it's a scrum to go down. Well, Gary Belcher there tackled after knocking on by his opposite, Gary Jack.
Bad pass from Chris O'Sullivan. It wasn't hard enough, and it wasn't directed well enough for Belcher to really run onto that one. But
Greg, I can't believe how quickly and how easily Canberra are getting outside this Balmain defence.
Well, we've got Neil now going across field. He can't get around Daly's tackle. Ferguson also there. He'll play it now to James Grant. And Ferguson's got hold of James Grant, pulling him down 2 metres short of the halfway line. Benny Elias again at dummy half, gives it across to John Elias. He hits it up to the halfway strip before being put down by Todd and Bradley Clyde. Back now to Benny Elias, across now to Stephen Roach charging forward, but Roach taken over the top, 8 metres into the green machine territory.
They've got to settle their play down, Balmain, and start working. If they're going to get back into this game, they're going to have to work very, very hard. I don't think they can beat Canberra out wide. I think they've got to go up the centre of the rucks, and to do that, they've got to be prepared for a low-scoring game, and they've already given 6 start.
Poor old Ben Elias there, left posted once again, could get a kick downfield. It turns out to be a good one too as the flag goes up inside the Canberra quarter line.
Okay, 6-0 on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard in favour of Canberra over Balmain after 15 minutes at Bruce Stadium. Tony Peters, let's have an update at the Sydney Football Stadium for Footy Tab on the Mitsubishi scoreboard.
Brisbane 8, Eastern Suburbs 0.
Okay, and it's 1-0 to the Netherlands over Australia in the World Cup hockey final. Come on, Australia. And right now it's Ricky Stewart up the blind side for Canberra.
Yeah, good pass on to Gary Belcher. Had Ferguson wide, couldn't get his pass away as he's knocked to the ground. 28 metres out from the line. It's gone back now to Lazarus off a good pass. It was from Walters, and he takes it up to the 35-metre line. He'll play it once again back to Walters. Could have been a penalty there, but he says no. Brent Todd hits it up too, hanging onto the ball, both arms that time, as Siranen puts him away. Now it's back to Walters again. Oh, and up comes Kevin Hardwick to put Walters down. He's about 4 metres short of the halfway line. Still in Canberra territory with Gary Goyne at dummy half. Gives it across to Stewart, and again with accuracy. Oh, no, too hard that time. Over the touchline on the full, Pete.
Yeah, and that was little Michael Neal putting pressure on Stewart there, and Stewart proved that, under pressure, he puts him out on the full too. Elias from dummy half, but he's well watched this time by Steve Walters, his opposite from Wednesday night, and Walters got him at last.
Back it goes to Freeman, across to John Elias. He pops up a good pass to Tim Brasher, who goes without the football, and we now have Canberra in possession via Johnny Ferguson. Plays it to Daly, goes across now to Clyde, wide out now to O'Sullivan to Belcher. He dummies, tries to get past Michael Neal's tackle, but is pulled down 30 metres out from the Canberra goal line. It's back to Ricky Stewart, across to Bradley Clyde. Little Michael Neal chops his legs from under him. Walters again a dummy half, gives it out the coin back again to Ricky Stewart. Committed to run on his own this time, no support coming through, and he runs into a beautiful block-busting tackle by Roach. He plays it once again to Belcher, and Belcher now gets his kick downfield towards Gary Jack, who'll field it inside of his own quarter line.
17 minutes gone. Canberra 6, lead Balmain 0 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Gary Jack well tackled there by Paul Martin for Canberra, and it's Balmain now with not a lot of support back there as they swing the ball wide, but nobody's running forward. Brasher tries to straighten it up and makes it to the quarter. Tim Brasher to play the ball now on his own quarter line.
Benny Elias at dummy half, across now to Kevin Hardwick. He picks up a valuable 8 metres for the Tigers. We'll play it to Ben Elias again across to big Paul Siranen. Goes over the top of Bradley Clyde's tackle, but then eventually is put away by Lazarus and also Chrissy O'Sullivan. Benny Elias from the back of the ruck. He shapes, he passes off to Maguire, and Maguire's pass is knocked down. Well, what's happened there? Ferguson picked it up, went to go on his own. I don't think the referee blew the whistle. No one heard it. Started to take off, and then he blew it.
No, he definitely knocked on, Greg. It was a blatant knock on, and Ferguson was just playing the whistle. The referee thought they'd stop, and we're a long way away. I don't think there's any doubt that there was a knock on there. There's a lot of push and shovies going on over there between Freeman and Ricky Stewart about who's got the football. Freeman's got it, though, and there was no way the Wiz was going to give it to Ricky Stewart. Ricky tried to con him, but it was always going to be Freeman. Freeman's football. He wouldn't give it up in a fit.
McCann now trying to go forward.
He puts it in when it's not his feet anyway.
Back it goes now into the arms of Michael Neal. 5 metres on their own side of the halfway line. Roach gives it across this time to Gary Jack down the far side, but he's pulled down right on the halfway line. We'll play it again. Back it goes to James Grant across to Freeman. Good pass out this time to Paul Sirinen. He makes inroads now into the Canberra territory. He's 8 metres over the halfway line.
And Balmain starting to swing the ball wide, and they need to get the next try on the board to be in this game. Drop ball by Michael Neal.
Yeah, it went forward.
Definitely forward there. Could even been a pinch there for offside, but the referee's going to rule the knock on. Balmain not having any commitment to this football. They've coughed it up inside the 6 tackles on almost every occasion. A try to Laurie Daly in the 9th minute, converted beautifully by Gary Belcher's the only score. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, as if they weren't under enough pressure, but they haven't held it for 6 yet.
They certainly haven't. Balmain, this is a scrum feed to Canberra. Balmain have no penalty in the game yet. The penalties are 2-0 and the scrums are 4-all now.
Well, we've got Brasher on Meninga. He's got hold of him too, and the youngster pulls the master down. He gets up to play the ball back. It goes to Daly. Good pass across to Bradley Clyde down the far side of the ground. He's 35 metres away from his own goal line. Does play it back to Chicka Ferguson, who offloads to Brent Todd coming through, but he meets his maker there in the form of Roach and also John Elias. Ricky Stewart at dummy half. Out now it goes to O'Sullivan to Meninga once again. Then out wide it goes to Belcher. Beats 1 or 2. Tries to go back inside of O'Brien and also Tim Brasher, but he's knocked to the ground. Now it's Meninga's turn to give it across now to Gary Coyne. He's through the gut. Oh, he got a pass back to Wallace, who takes off. One last line of defence. Has a look back and nobody arrives on the scene.
Good work by Walters, the hooker, and then getting the ball out to...
5 minutes in the bin for Gary Freeman. He misdemeanour in the ruck, holding down, and a little New Zealander heads off to the shed.
Well, I can't agree with that penalty. He was tackled fair and square. Freeman went over the top, and really not for any great length. Yeah, he hung on. He
sure did. He's still hanging on.
Yeah, he hung on, no doubt about it. And he's got a period in the sin bin, and Harrigan was spot on there. I didn't realise it was that long until I had a look at it on the replay, but he did hang on to him for a long time, and the pinch was a fair one. Belcher, who's already kicked 1 out of 1 this afternoon, is lining up for this one. Meninga sacked himself after
Must have been his knee problem, Peter.
After one shot, yeah, he just said, that'll do me. And Meninga on his... No, it's Daly on his haunches. Well, he was suffering from the flu, and he doesn't look too well out there, young Laurie Daly, but he didn't look... Not much wrong with him when he scored that try.
No.
He's looking for fluid, and he's getting it now from Meninga.
OK, we've got the kick now to be taken by Gary Belcher, and he's about 10 metres in from the touchline. Sorry, 19 metres in from the touchline and about 25 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Not a difficult angle. As he comes in, he hits it nicely. What are the touchies say? Oh, it's hit the upright back into the in-goal area. Racing for it as Hardwick bounced back into the field of play some 2 or 3 metres, and he had to race and dive on that one.
Yeah, and he's been injured in the process. He's been hit hard there in the tackle. I think Chris O'Sullivan is just
I think it was the way he went down, Peter.
Yeah, he's apologising, and no doubt about it, Chris O'Sullivan, not a dirty player. And Chrissy went in and forced him. There was a hint of knees, but it was accidental, and he's down, Hardwick, and receiving attention at the moment. O'Sullivan was quite concerned. Roach takes it up for Balmain. 6-0 to the Canberra side over Balmain. Let's check the scores at the Sydney Football Stadium. Tony Peters.
No change. Brisbane 8, Eastern Suburbs 0.
Okay, Balmain in possession. 12 men at the moment.
Back to Elias across this time to Sirinen. Sirinen picks up a good 10-metre gain. They've got 1 tackle left, the Balmain Tigers, as Ben Elias from the back of the ruck gets his kick downfield. Little Michael Neal on the chase too, up over the head of Gary Belcher. They're all on. He got a hand to it, but he turns now. Michael Neal up there. He'll get up over the quarter line. He gives it across to Ferguson, and it was a dreadful pass to Ferguson. Way out in front of him, Peter. He reached out to take it, but in doing so, he's knocked on.
Big crowd at Bruce Stadium this afternoon, and forward pass there definitely from Gary Belcher, and Ferguson had no chance of taking that one. Balmain 1 man short. Who's going to feed the scrum? And it's the Ben Elias talking to the referee there, coming into the scrum, and it's Michael Neal to feed the scrum. There's still a 6-man scrum. They're playing without a fullback. Gary Jack's gone into the 5'8 position. He's got the ball now.
Yes, tries to get around Daly and O'Sullivan, but O'Sullivan's around the legs to pull him down. Daly over the top. Back it goes now to John Elias. He gets inside
That's where they've got to go, straight up the centre of the rucks.
That's right, he gets inside the quarter line as Maguire does the same too, but he's pulled down by Dean Lance. They're only 11 metres out. This is their best shot. The Tigers, Ben Elias from the back of the ruck, charging forward. 4 metres out now from the Canberra goal line. Elias will get up the play it back to Roach. Will he go on his own? No, he offloads out to Mickey Neal, who passes off to Jack. Jack picks up Brasher out wide, gives it to Grant. Grant tries to go around, but he is pulled out on the far side by Ferguson.
Last tackle.
Ball's played to Gary Jack, again to Benny Elias. He's going to put a high one up, and he goes up there all on, says the referee. Everybody going in for a look. Oh, Brasher's up to take the ball, and he gets a pass back again into the arms of Maguire, but the change of position now. 1 metre out from the Canberra goal line.
Yeah, good work by Balmain. A bit of pressure there with only 12 men. It was a good high kick, and it didn't come off, but well taken by Brasher. And now Balmain, Maguire's into it now, and all of the Canberra players are in there.
Yeah, well, Maguire just off and just belted Ferguson for no reason at all. You'll see it on the replay.
And it's still going on. Elias now and Lazarus.
Yeah, well, they didn't throw any. They were just tugging each other and went down.
Okay, well, it was certainly on there, and there's no love lost between these arch rivals. Maguire, I think, started that. I don't know what precipitated him going off like he did, but the referee, Bill Harrigan, moves them away now. It was Ferguson tackled by, first of all, Sirenen, and then coming over the top was Bruce Maguire. Maguire was then involved in an incident, and he let fly a couple, and I think from my point of view that the penalty should go to the Canberra Raiders.
Well, it will, Pete. If it doesn't, there's big trouble, but he missed Ferguson. The right hand was aimed at Ferguson, but somebody just took one step to the left and he copped it.
Yeah, he certainly did, and we saw Lazarus ripping into Ian McCann, and it was really on for young and old there. I think Glenn Lazarus, in effect, was trying to break it up at the start. There's a lot of ill feeling there between these sides. Balmain have already gone back the distance. They think, or they know the penalty's gone against them. Sin bin here. Glenn Lazarus in the sin bin for 10 minutes.
Well,
so already Freeman is coming back on from 5 minutes in the sin bin. Lazarus has got 10. Well, Maguire's got to get some.
Well, Maguire's got to get some if that's the case, because he was the bloke that put it on, but it'll be interesting to see. I mean, that's Harrigan's decision. Maguire is Harrigan's decision, not the touch judges. Ricky Stewart's copping a gobful too now from Harrigan. Mal Meninga up there as captain, of course. Benny Elias being spoken to now. Maguire's going to be the last. He's leaving Maguire on. No, he's not. Maguire's got 10.
Yeah, well, he had to get 10. No doubt about it. 10 minutes in the sin bin for Bruce Maguire. 10 for Glenn Lazarus. Freeman's back on the field. He's had 5. And it's on here at Bruce Stadium. A Barney at Bruce. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well started by Maguire, but Lazarus got his just desserts for running in. But certainly Maguire, ridiculous play. They had them pinned on the line, and he's given away a penalty. It'll be another 50 yards.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And it is now 12 versus 12 on the field there. So one off each with Freeman back on. So it's Lazarus and Lazarus and Maguire, the two number 10s, off for 10.
Okay, and we've got Canberra in possession. Dean Lance playing it back to Wallers.
10
Bradley
out from
Clyde.
half-time.
Down now to Mark Coyne down the blind side, but he's wrestled to the ground by McCann. He'll get up and play it this time to Clyde. Gives it across to Brent Todd charging forward. Up came Sirenen very, very hard and puts him down 32 metres out from the Canberra goal line. Walters across to Stewart. Stewart gets his kick again downfield, forcing Gary Jack to turn. Also O'Brien. Oh, it's a magic kick out the back door, 15 metres away from the Balmain goal line, and he kicked it 32 out from his own.
27 minutes gone in the first half. Scoreline 6-0 to Canberra over Balmain on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard. On that scoreboard, let's check them at the Sydney Football Stadium. Tony Peters.
Yeah, Brisbane 14, Eastern Suburbs 0.
14-0. The Netherlands 1, lead Australia 0 in the hockey. Scrum feed to Balmain. Gary Freeman. Balmain win the scrum, and right now they're tackled 18 metres out from their own goal line, right in front of their sticks.
Freeman now giving a ball across to McCann. Meninga up there very quickly in company with Dean Lance, and he goes to ground short of his own quarter line. Timmy Brasher across now to Johnny Elias. He's taken head on by Laurie Daly, picking up 8 metres or so, 28 away from his own goal line. Benny Elias across to Freeman. Good pass, picks up Michael Neal. Bypasses McCann, gives it out to Gary Jack. Back now it goes to Neal this time. Here, good pass on to Brasher. He looks centre field, but it's knocked down. 6 tackles ruled by the referee. Balmain still in possession. Getting up there to play it is McCann. He plays it to Ben Elias across to Sirenen. Sirenen struggles right up to the halfway line centre. centre field before being bulldozed over.
Balmain growing in confidence. Their forwards are making cheap yardage now up the centre of the rucks, and this is going to be a real ball game. Canberra got the jump on them, 6-0, but Balmain showing signs at the moment of coming back somewhat.
Balmain now in possession, and it's John Elias charging forward. I thought it may have been a forward pass
No,
to play
it was spot on. It was nothing wrong with it.
Okay, back now to Benny Elias. He gives it across this time to Michael Neal. Neal looks wide. A long one picks up James Grant, who can race, and a beautiful chip over the top. Two Daly's alongside of him, but it goes over the touchline. Scrum feed to the Raiders, and it'll be 18 metres out from the Canberra goal line.
Yeah, well, James Grant, I think, kicked prematurely there. He was outside of Ferguson, and he should have tried to take him on for pace instead of chipping over the top. Had he got the bounce, though, he was in a good position, although Daly was covering beautifully, and so too was Belcher at the back. Daly was going to cream him. I think Daly
straight across the touchline.
Yeah, I think he would have. Okay, Balmain and Canberra doing battle as they did last September in that memorable game at the football stadium. Canberra win the scrum, and it's Stewart out to Belcher. Belcher dances like the array of in green, and he makes it up 11 metres out from his own goal line.
Ferguson pulled down two after another ruck. He'll get up the play it back. It goes to Waters across to Brent Todd. And now we've got Freeman on him. New Zealander on New Zealander to pull him down. Back now it goes to Walters. Dummies. He gives it back to once again. Oh, this is going to be anyone's pass. It is knocked back. What's he going to do? He's playing the knock-on, says the referee, or the ball gone forward. Have your pick.
Yeah, it was a knock-on in the first instance and a scrum to go down with Balmain's feed, and this is going to be an interesting one. 24 metres out from the Canberra goal line. Now, Balmain have got to hang on to the ball for 6.
Look at the blind side. It's wide open. Gary Jack goes down it. Tries to stand up. Ricky Stewart gives it back now to James Grant, and he's just easily put away 28 metres out from the Canberra goal line.
Let's see if they can hang on to the ball. I might add, Greg, too, and I said before the game, I had no doubts who'd win the penalty count in the home game. 30 minutes gone, the Tigers haven't got one.
Okay, we've got John Elias, and I think that would go right through all grades here this afternoon. I took particular notice of that. It goes across to Elias, back into the arms of Broach. Beautiful pass to McCann. Another one going through, and I could have thought that could have been a penalty to Balmain, but the ball has been knocked on in picking it up, Gary Belcher. But I thought Freeman may have been hit, but without the ball.
Yeah, I didn't have any doubts that he was. Gary Freeman, well, he bounced off his own player first, and that was the problem there. Yeah, he ricocheted off his own player, and Harrigan was spot on in that one. Scrum feed, and he's warning the Balmain backs they're offside.
He gives it across now to O'Sullivan.
Oh, they're well offside.
Yeah, well, he could have had a penalty there, but Meninga's put down, and the boos go up from the crowd, and rightly so on that occasion, Billy. Now it goes across to Stewart. Good pass out to Belcher. Tries to step inside Paul Sirenen's hit, but it's too strong, and he's down on his own quarter. Back now to Martin. Gives it out to Dean Lance. Oh, he bulldozes him. There's Lance go. Look at him go. Oh, he's pretty. He's pretty.
Well, he's not pretty, but he's effective.
Oh, headgear and all. It was back like a Rolls Royce. Belcher goes through. Out to Stewart. Magic hands. O'Sullivan can't take it. Gone forward. And that's what the referee will rule. But, oh, he looked good.
Well, Canberra had a 4-man overlap there, and that was desperation stakes. And it got out wide, and O'Sullivan knocked it on under pressure from Tim Brasher. But, Canberra would have been in for a try. They had a 4-man overlap on that left-hand side. What a terrific, gutsy run, though, from Dean Lance. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, cop 6-0 at half-time, Balmain. It's an act of God.
Yeah, certainly is so far on the run of play. Balmain have come today to Canberra to try and make some amends from last year's grand final, but really they've got to do their confidence. They've got to give it a kickle on. There's 8 minutes out from half-time. They really haven't looked like scoring.
Straight out to Michael Neal after the Tig scrum win. Gives it back to Brasher. Brasher looks back to support, but none available.
The forwards have got to do it for Balmain if they're going to win this game. They can't match this brilliant Canberra back line. Well, they're going to have to try and go up the centre of the ruck.
Yeah, I mentioned that to you in our preview, Peter. I thought their backs were just too pacey out wide. Now we've got Benny Elias. Oh, Benny's been pushed back too, and a strong tackle. He'll play the ball on the halfway line, and that was, again, Walters. So they're having a battle royal, them two, as Roach comes forward. But he's going to be taken this time over the top by Brent Todd, and also Walters getting up to play the ball. He's complaining to the referee, but it goes to Ben Elias, to John Elias. Back now, into the arms of Freeman, but he's wrapped up too over the top by Bradley Clyde. Gets up to play the ball forward. That should have been a penalty to Balmain. He was well inside the 5, Brent Todd, a mile offside.
Yeah, and Freeman played him for that one, and there's Balmain's first penalty after 33 minutes of the first half. Brent Todd well offside. Gary Freeman sucked him in there, and the penalty to the Balmain side. Touch judge in again, this time from the far side, and
Walters and Roach. That was that little ruckus.
There was hardly anything in that.
Little pushy shovey.
Put an apron on them. Let's check the score at the Sydney Football Stadium. Tony Peters.
Brisbane 18, Eastern Suburbs 0.
18-0, okay, and 1-0 to the Netherlands over Australia in hockey. Okay, Roach and also Walters being spoken to by the referee. Roche looking at the touch jump, shaking his head. The penalty's been given to Balmain. He won't change his mind on that one. Come on, Billy, get on with the game.
Yes, in the penalty stands, Gary Jack comes up. Roche had more to say than African then.
Yeah, he certainly did.
Oh, he's made a mouth in this afternoon, Roche. I love him. There's the kick now, finding touch. 10 metres out from the Canberra goal line. The free kick to be taken now by Ben Elias. As he does that right now, he gives it back to Kevin Hardwick. Hardwick going forward.
Right on half-time. Great time for Balmain to get in.
5
6
metres
to
out.
go.
Yeah, Benny Elias shows it back to Gary Jack on the burst too, but Gary Coyne stands his ground to hold him out by a metre. Benny Elias at dummy half goes across this time to Freeman, to Michael Neal. A long one this time out to McCann. McCann is taken on by 1 or 2. No overlap existing there, and he's knocked down 15 metres out from the green machine line. Now James Grant for the back of the ruck. He can't fend off the defence either, as he's pulled down 10 metres out by Laurie Daly. Benny Elias at dummy half shows it to 1. Dummy still going, but Ricky Stewart over the top of him like a big octopus. He'll get up off him now, 5 metres away from the line. Freeman across now to Neal, puts a high kick up.
Been hit.
Oh, he's been
hit well after he kicked the football.
By Gary Coyne. Play on, says the referee. The touch judges aren't in, so no advantage. And the referee says A-OK, and so do the 2 boundary riders.
Oh, well, he was hit well after it by Gary Coyne. It was a shoulder charge, but I would have thought that the boundary riders would have been in, but Harrigan obviously saw it.
Yep.
Well, maybe it was touch and go.
And to his credit, Mickey Neal got straight up.
Yeah,
Pete.
well, he did get straight up. I thought there might have been a swinging arm, but in retrospect, it was a shoulder, and the referee was right and I was wrong.
Well,
I'm a big man.
We've got now, you're a big man, all right. Geez, I can run with that one. Back it goes to
Forward
Meninga.
pass.
Gives it across now to Brent Titan. It was forward. 1 tackle left to go to the Raiders. They're 28 metres out from their own goal line. It goes back now into the arms of Ricky Stewart. He puts a kick way downfield and is going to bounce on the first occasion for James Grant. He passes a long one across to Gary Jack, 35 out from his own line. Jimmy Jack goes to ground 5 metres from the halfway line.
5 minutes left in the first half, and Canberra leads 6-0, and Balmain lucky that there's only 6 between the two teams. They've really got to lift their game in the second half, and I think they'll be thankful if they can go in at 6-0 down. 6-0 on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard. A try to Laurie Daly. Elias goes from dummy half.
Beautiful pass back to John Elias, who followed him through close to the ruck. He's pulled down. He'll get up the play it to Freeman.
Here's the troops coming back on. They just got the clocks on them. That'll be the 2 guys in the sin bin. Freeman makes a break.
Yeah, back now it goes to Neal. To Benny Elias, tries to get under one, gives it now back to Michael Neal, who picks it up, but Gary Coyne is right on his hammer. Oh, and he's nicked the ball. That's what you'd call it. He's nicked it.
He certainly has. The 2 second rowers, or the 2 front rowers, Maguire and Lazarus, back on as Canberra go wide through Meninga.
Oh, a long pass across to Martin. Did well to take that one. Oh, and Maguire, fresh from his little stint in the bin, is very quickly on Martin to pull him down. He'll play it now back to Mal Meninga. Gives a pass once again into the arms of Lazarus, who does well to stay over the touchline. Quickly playing the ball back to Martin. He gives it to Meninga again. Meninga decides to take on 1 or 2, and it takes 3 of them to pull him down. Maguire and Roach in there as Big Mal plays it once again to Lazarus. Across to Ricky Stewart. Dummies tries to go on his own, but Hardwick over the top. 1 tackle left to go. They're 34 metres out from the Canberra goal line.
Balmain again moving up very quickly. Charged down by Elias.
Yes, picked up by
6
Belcher.
more tackles.
Oh, and he's going to be arrested there right around the legs that time by Freeman on his own quarter line. Now it's Bradley Clyde's turn to go forward. He's pulled down to the ground by Brasher. The crowd screaming about the 5 metres. Back it goes now to Dean Lance. He tries to hit it up too, but once again up over the top. A strong tackle that time by Brasher. Coyne, forward pass once again that time to Lazarus, but the referee not positioned to take that one as he's knocked down by John Elias. It's played now to Walters. Benny Elias has got hold of him, but he offloads out to Stewart. Picks up O'Sullivan wide, out there to Daly. Good pass out to Belcher, to Ferguson. Ferguson gets away from one, comes inside, gets away from Maguire, can't get away from Gary Jack. 1 tackle left to go, he says. 40 metres away from the line. Laurie Daly now heads upfield, turns it back now to Stewart, and Stewart puts a high ball up. Very, very high. Oh, it's come off Brasher's chest, but he takes possession of the ball inside of his own quarter line.
Well, Canberra continue to get outside this Balmain defence, and they're doing it with brilliant passing from the inside men. And Gary Belcher coming in outside of Ricky Stewart, and that's where all the problems are occurring. And from the tackle, it's Freeman who's lost possession. Canberra have it, and they've got overlap galore here.
Yeah, Bradley Clyde. Oh, pass to O'Sullivan out. Now it goes to Daly. You see that out. It's played on, but it's a penalty kick. I don't believe that. Daly's over for a try, and he gives a penalty kick.
Oh, that's
Another for
ridiculous
Ben.
refereeing. It was quite evident that the pass was going to be away. It was a brilliant pass by O'Sullivan to Daly. He's had two men outside him, and he was on his way for the try, and Harrigan has prematurely blown his whistle. There is no excuse for a number one referee to make a decision like that. The advantage should have been played, and it wasn't. It was a try for all money. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Oh, it certainly was, but he blew it prematurely. Brasher was up, but Daly was through. Under the sticks it would have been.
Well, he only had to look. There was one Balmain player offside for sure, but he didn't make the tackle. The pass was given, and it was a dead set four-pointer, maybe six, right on half-time. And Bill Harrigan, I think he will curse himself for that. He's a perfectionist, and I think, the pinch was on, and he was right in that, but I just think he should have waited until the advantage was played, Greg.
I agree, Peter. I've been in that same situation. I know just how much he's hurting on that one. And boy, when you've done it, they'll never let you forget it. You never have with me. There's the kick now. Oh, and it's waved away, so they got nothing out of that at all. I don't believe it. Nothing out of it.
Well, that compounds the mistake by the referee, and there can be no doubting on that he did err, Bill Harrigan, on that, and nothing that anyone can tell me would change my mind on that. It was just clearly and blatantly, it was a pinch, all right, but he should have played on and then made the pinch if nothing came out of it. Okay, again the touch judges are in. Let's check this one. Let's check the scores around the grounds. Almost time up here in the first half. On the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard, it is 6-0 to Canberra over Balmain. Let's check them at the Sydney Football Stadium. It's half-time here. It's 6-0 in favour of Canberra over Balmain. Tony Peters, have you got a half-time score?
No, Peter, we're a couple of minutes out of this lopsided contest. Brisbane 20, Eastern Suburbs 0.
20 points to 0. Okay, here at half-time, the scoreline is 6 points to 0 in favour of Canberra. Laurie Daly, a try in the 9th minute. Brilliant work by Ricky Stewart, and also particularly by Gary Belcher, and Belcher converted the try. It's his only success from 3. Meninga's had none from 1, and that's been the only scoring in the first half, dominated by the Canberra Raiders side. The scrums in the first half are yet to appear on the field, and the Canberra Raiders have been out there for a fair while now, and what a football side it is, and what a following they've got down here. I was talking to a couple of Canberra officials before the game, and they said that people are coming from a far afield as Yass, Crookwell, Goulburn, and Taralga, places like that in the north-easterly direction, and from the south as far down from the Monaro area as Cooma, and down to the coast as far as Bateman's Bay, Tathra, Bega, places like that, and they certainly are getting some people too from the Riverina. So it's a magnificent crowd here, and they've come from all parts of the country areas of New South Wales and the ACT to watch this game of football this afternoon. It's a magnificent crowd, well behaved, plenty of Balmain Tigers here. The Tigers on the field for the second half. Billy Harrigan's there too, and here we go for the second half here at Bruce Stadium. It's Balmain and Canberra, and it's Canberra leading by 6 points to 0. The Tigers will restart play.
And to the centre of the halfway, we've got McCann coming up to get it underway.
2-0 to the Netherlands, so the hockey girls look right up against it now, and well, they've done very, very well to get to the World Cup final, but the Netherlands too lead Australia 0 at Homebush before a very big crowd and a vocal crowd there too. Okay, back to the footy. Here's the restart of play for the second half.
Yeah, McCann, a deep kick taken by Gary Belcher back in his own in-goal area. He'll come out some 15 metres or so before being put down. Hardwick first man into him. He's reefed possession away from him, goes in to pick the football up, and the referee says that's okay. So Balmain immediately on the attack. Elias back to Maguire. Maguire going forward, a crossfield rather than downfield, and still 14 odd metres away. Plays it back this time to James Grant, out to Sirinen charging forward. He's 10 metres away from the line. Dean Land's first man in for the hit. Up again to play it back to Ben Elias. Gives it across now to Roach. Roach's passes goes astray, and Canberra dive on the loose ball. It was Ricky Stewart doing the honours. He plays it back to Meninga. Meninga from the back of the ruck strides up to his own quarter-line centre field before being put down.
Well, that was a great early opportunity for Balmain. They're not going to get too many of them. There's another one now. They've got the ball and knocked it on, so it'll be a scrum. It's a knock-on first by Canberra and then by Balmain, but Stephen Roach trying to flick the ball out there. They've got to graft away. You can't beat Canberra at the fancy Dan football. You've got to graft away, and if Balmain are prepared to do that, they can get back into this game. But if they try to be too fancy, they'll get murdered. converted.
Michael Neal now after the Balmain scrum win in possession of the ball. Knocked to the ground just outside the Canberra quarter line. He plays it this time to Freeman, goes across to John Elias, tries to step one or two, but Dean Lance is around the legs to pull him down. Ben Elias once again a dummy half. Roach calling for it, going forward. Will he look back? Brent Todd's there over the top of him, eventually knocking him down.
Bradley Clyde down injured. You call the action, I'll watch Brad.
Back it goes to Benny Elias, across to Freeman. Good pass out to Michael Neal, to Brasher. Brasher picks up McCann. McCann's put the football down. Scoped up by Ricky Stewart. Gives it out to Martin. Martin comes back inside. So again, they're on the attack, and Martin pulled down 5 short of the halfway line. Gary Coyne across to Big Mal Meninga. Wide it goes to Gary Belcher. Belcher goes through the gap around 1 or 2. Out now to Laurie Daly. Daly gives it to Ferguson. Ferguson knocked down by Daly. Would you believe 10 metres over the halfway line in Tiger territory?
Well, Balmain have let Canberra off the hook again. Bradley Clyde still down in back play, but Canberra seem to pick up a gear when one of their players is down. Who said Australia were out of it? The Netherlands 2, Australia 1. So Australia fighting back in the World Cup hockey final. Okay, Canberra now, and they're running out of tackles fast. Coyne gives it inside to Daly.
Daly back it goes to Meninga, and Meninga charges right down into the Balmain quarter line with 1 tackle left to go. Now he gets up, plays it to Wallace. It goes across to Stewart, wide to Chris O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan's kick is downfield. In comes Chicka Ferguson, knocked out the back door by Gary Jack, and he had to pull out all stops to get to that football.
Yeah, brilliant kick through. Magnificent kick by Chris O'Sullivan. And for a moment there, it looked as though it was going to be a try to the Canberra side. Gary Jack just got there in front of Gary Belcher, and also the other player coming through in John Ferguson. Brilliant kick there, and it was Gary Jack just hurrying and getting there. Bradley Clyde's back on his feet. It's a line drop out to the Balmain Tigers. 3 minutes gone in the second half, and Canberra look as though they're going to grab this game by the scruff of the neck early in the second half. They lead by 6-0. A 50-metre drop out taken on the fly by Gary Belcher. He makes 10 metres easily before he's put down by Michael Neal.
Yeah, and a great tackle too by Mickey Neal. Now it's back to Wallace across, this time to Mal Meninga again. Ricky Stewart, a long pass across to Chris O'Sullivan. He's around one, can't get past Big Paul Sirinen as he reaches out to grab him by the scruff of the neck. Now it's Ferguson, sends it across to Stewart again, letting the football do the work. A long cut-out pass this time to Daly, but Daly's well and truly handled that time by Michael Neal over the top with Hardwick down low. Back Bradley Clyde, offloads out now to Brent Todd, makes valuable yards too. Back into Balmain territory, 5 metres over the halfway line. It goes back to Coyne, then to Dean Lance charging forward, but he's going to be wrapped up still 4 metres over the halfway line. Dean Lance up to play it back. It goes to Walters. Good pass to Stewart. Out now to Daly. Daly elects to kick through the gap, and there's a chase on for the ball. O'Sullivan's there. So is Ferguson. Ferguson, he's kicked it forward. James Grant desperately gets to the ball a metre out from his own goal line.
Good tactics by Canberra. They know that Balmain are moving up quickly in the back line, and the grubber kicks are on. 2 in just on a minute, and both of them beautifully exploited. One by Chris O'Sullivan, the other one by Laurie Daly, and Balmain are in trouble. They're thinking now. They're in two minds about whether to move up quickly, and that's exactly the tactics employed by Tim Sheens, the coach from last year who got this premiership for the Canberra Raiders. The players won it, but schemed in the background from Tim Sheens. Up goes big Stephen Roach. Good pass there to Maguire. Maguire onto Sirinen, and that's the way Balmain have got to play.
Yeah, and Sirinen through the gap, but he's knocked the football on. The advantage again applied by the referee, and Canberra come up with the football 2 metres over the halfway line, and it's Ricky Stewart again.
Well, that's 40 metres up the centre of the rucks, and if they don't play that way, they're mad.
Back it goes to Belcher. He offloads this time to Bradley Clyde. He's got no room to move John Elias over the top of him to pull him down on the halfway line. Coyne, a dummy half, gives it out to Dean Lance, to Lazarus down the blind side. He bounces off Maguire, but again he's pulled down 5 metres over the halfway line in Tiger territory.
5 minutes gone in the second half. Canberra 6, Balmain 0 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Let's check them at the Sydney Football Stadium. Tony Peters.
Yeah, a bit of news here, Pete. You asked me about Paul Vorton. He's playing 5'8", and he's just engineered a try under the post for Rod Silver. Brisbane 20, Eastern Suburbs 6. Michael Hancock taken from the field with a recurrence of a bad leg injury.
Okay, back at Bruce Stadium. Balmain in possession, just short of the halfway mark in their own territory. Bruce Maguire makes it up to the halfway mark. He'll play the ball now to Gary Jack.
And Jack takes off from the back of the ruck. Up comes Dean Lance to take him, but he gives a pass across to Steve O'Brien. Clyde's over the top of him on the halfway line. We'll get up again now. He'll play the ball to Hardwick. He sends it across this time to Freeman. Out this time into the arms of Sirinen to Neal. Neal bounces off 1 or 2, but again is taken over the top that time by Chrissy O'Sullivan. Freeman, a dummy half to Benny Elias. Shapes the kick, changes his mind, offloads out to Roach. Roach was going to pass back inside, but couldn't do it. Daly took him over the top, ball and all. Benny Elias from the back of the ruck gets his kick downfield. Not good enough. Gary Belcher's there to take it. Up come the defenders too, but Belcher is knocked down 15 metres out from the Canberra goal line.
7 minutes gone in the second half. No change to the half-time score. Canberra 6, Balmain 0.
Clyde out wide, taking a pass that time off Ricky Stewart, but he's going to be held up, and eventually he's driven into the turf centre field. 15 metres out from his own goal line. Todd now back this time to Coyne, charging forward, trying to get outside of their own quarter line now, the Canberra Raiders. Waller's a dummy half. He gives it to Todd this time and manages to do that. He's 24 metres out from his own goal line. Waller's once again a dummy half across to Dean Lance. It goes across now into the arms of Mal Meninga. Meninga wrapped up by McCann and also Brucey Maguire, 30 metres away. One tackle left to go to the Raiders. Back it goes this time to Stewart, and again Stewart gets a kick downfield. It's going to be far too hard over the touchline on the full.
Well, that's good pressure from Balmain. They are standing up though, and the crowd letting referee Bill Harrigan know it. They're right on that 5 metre line. Sideline eye Tony McGay.
Well, good harassment from Neil. He's forced Stewart to kick out twice on the full.
He certainly has. His Balmain. Can they hang on to it for 6, and can they make the ball do the work? They've got to go up the centre of the ruck area. Out wide, they're getting killed.
Well, we've got Michael Neal down too. He's hurt himself, and he's as tough as teak, this little bloke, but he's getting up very slowly to play this ball. Benny Elias is a dummy half. He's gone straight back down on all fours as Hardwick charges forward back into that Canberra quarter area. He'll play it to Benny Elias, centre field. It goes to Maguire, beautifully sucking it in with one arm out to Freeman. He picks up Big McCann, stretching out on the far side, 10 metres away from the Canberra goal line. The big centre from the Tigers goes down, I should say. He's up again, plays it to Steve O'Brien. John Elias showed it to him, called him around. But
silly play.
Yeah, he couldn't make it, and it fit that time, but he plays it once again. Back it goes to Freeman, out to Elias, was going to kick, gives it out to Siren, and the pass has gone astray. A race for the ball, picked up by James Grant. Oh, and he's lost the ball, and we've got O'Sullivan coming up with it. Well, have a look at that one. You call that one, Zorba.
Well, he's ruled O'Sullivan as knocked on, and, well, I couldn't see. Yeah, just a tiny knock on. Just a tiny knock on from Chris O'Sullivan.
He was facing back to his own goal line.
No, he wasn't. He was running towards the Balmain goal line.
Turn it up. There was no knock on there.
There's a knock on by Gary Freeman at the scrum base.
Yeah. He said he dragged it back. He's shown the referee what he's done.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He knocked that on.
Okay, scrum to go down. Stewart to feed for the Canberra side. They do just that down the blind side. Ricky Stewart passes off this time straight into the arms of Gary Belcher, but he's well and truly wrapped up by Paul Siren, and 10 short of the halfway line. Ferguson, a dummy halfback to Stewart, gives it out to Bradley Clyde, who offloads out to Dean Lance. Dreadful pass, and it's gone forward. The referee will put a scrum down now, 10 metres short of the halfway line in Canberra territory.
9 minutes gone at Bruce Stadium in the second half. No change to the half-time score. It is 6-0 in favour of Canberra over Balmain, in a tight one. Balmain win the scrum. Referee Harrigan wants it in again. Yeah. Sideline eye Tony McGay.
Very sloppy grand finalist. Freeman a knock on the first tackle, and Canberra straight back to him.
Yeah, certainly. And there's a lot of pressure on out there this afternoon, no doubt about that. And it's Balmain now, facing their first defeat in 6 games. Elias up the blind side.
Yes, was going to kick once again.
They're on to Benny.
Yeah, they're on to Benny, all right, and he just can't get the time to get it in, but it's played now back to Michael Neal. He gives it out to Roach. Coyne goes around the legs, and a good tackle that time by Todd over the top to smother the pass. Back again to Ben Elias, across to Freeman. Out now it goes to Maguire, back to Freeman on the wraparound. But O'Sullivan's there to pull him down, still 30 metres out from the Green Machine goal line. The pass to Hardwick has gone astray, manages to go back and pick it up, but he's easily pulled down that time by Walters. Gary Jack, a dummy half, across to Benny Elias again. This time he gets a little kick in downfield. Ferguson gets to the football, starts a bit of a run. Benny won't catch him, he's too quick. He goes across field, he's through the gap, he's still going, but Sirenin just gets around the legs to pull him down outside of his own quarter line. The pressure's still on as we see Bradley Clyde going down the far side of the ground, and he's pulled to the ground by McCann.
Pretty ordinary kick by Elias. He should have gone for the sideline. That grubber kick through to Ferguson, just giving him the opportunity to show his speed. And Balmain should be packing into a scrum now, about 10 metres out from the Canberra goal line, not struggling like they are to hold this Green Machine inside their own territory. There's Coyne through the gap to Meninga.
Oh, and the big fella takes up. He's got one outside, and it's Martin, and he can hike. He's around Gary Jack, still going. Oh, and he couldn't get a pass back inside to Gary Belcher, just waiting 11 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Ricky Stewart, long pass across this time to O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan points to him, he goes back inside now. It goes into the arms of Daly. He puts a kick in downfield. Now James Grant's wrapped it up. He'll get back into the field of play, and a good job by James Grant.
Well, Canberra had two players down in back play, Ferguson and also Bradley Clyde, and Clyde's gone to the sideline. We mentioned he was down a few moments ago, so Ferguson's back in position. When they were attacking there, it was 11 men attacking. It's a mouth injury and could even be a jaw injury or something wrong with his tooth to young Bradley Clyde. Sideline eye Tony McGay just checking it out.
And we've got now Balmain in possession of the ball. McKeon up the plate to Benny Elias, gives it to Freeman, going to go down the blind side. Too much weight in Malmaninga, and he just puts him away. He quickly plays it once again to O'Brien. Back it goes to Ben Elias, and Elias gets his kick downfield. A few offside, but it's a magnificent kick by Benny Elias. The red flag up, and it's about 14, 18 metres out from 10 metres. He's gone right down from the Canberra goal line.
Well, Clyde's teeth are pushed back badly in his mouth, and that's the problem down there. Sideline eye Tony McGay.
It certainly is, Peter. They're checking his jaw and the top region of his teeth, the top row there. He's in a lot of pain. He's had a knock, but he's still going back on.
Okay, he's a tough competitor, Bradley Clyde, but gee, he's going to have to see the dentist after this game.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Okay, the scrum, it's a big push from Balmain, but Stewart comes up with the football on the blind side, managing to dive on it. And Gary Coyne, acting dummy half, decides to go on his own.
No change to the half-time score. 12-0 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Tony Peters at the Sydney Football Stadium.
Brisbane 24, Eastern Suburbs 6.
Okay, and the Netherlands 2 lead Australia 1 well into the second half of the Women's Hockey World Cup final. Canberra up to their own quarter line now. They lead Balmain 6-0. Glenn Lazarus plays it forward. Makes a cheap 10-15 metres.
Sure does. One tackle left to go. He'll play it back now to Walters. Goes across to Ricky Stewart. Down the blind side to Gary Belcher. And Belcher gets his kick downfield, forcing Gary Jack to turn back in his own quarter to pick it up. One defender up there. It's Bradley Clyde. I don't think he's going to have the pace to get to Gary Jack. He does. Forward pass. It was there to O'Brien. But the referee's missed that one. He'll get up to play the ball. Back it goes across this time to Michael Neal. Out to Maguire to the young fella, Timmy Brasher, and he's pulled down 28 metres out from the Balmain goal line.
Well, quite frankly, Balmain don't look like penetrating this Canberra defence. There's no player that's really split them today. This Canberra defence is just swallowing them up at every opportunity, and I maintain they have to graft their way. The only time they've looked good is when they've gone up the centre and they've chained past amongst the forwards. That's the only time they've made good ground. 3-1, the Netherlands lead Australia in the women's hockey final now, and that doesn't look good for Australia. Elias Grubber kicks behind the defence, and he finds touch now. Only a few metres out from the Canberra goal line. Canberra 6, Balmain 0 at Bruce Stadium before a record crowd.
Scrum to go down now by the referee, and he'll put this one down. The trainer on the ground giving Bradley Clyde some sort of mouth guard, or he's sticking something in to protect the teeth. But the scrum will go down 9 metres out from the Canberra goal line. Clyde says, no, I don't want it. It doesn't fit. So he gives it back to the trainer. The ball to be fed this time by Ricky Stewart, and they win it too. Very quickly up on the man.
Geez, I wouldn't be playing out there without a mouth guard.
No, well, he just threw it back to him, Pete. You saw it yourself as Clyde tries to go forward, but he's picked up by Sirinen and pulled down 15 metres out from his own goal line. Now it's Ferguson. He can go nowhere. Freeman diving around the legs to knock him down. This time it's Walters giving a one out to Brent Todd, charging forward outside of his own quarter line.
No penalties in the second half. That's interesting, and it's certainly been a rugged game. Sideline eye Tony McGay.
The problem with Clyde is that he lost a tooth. He had another one loose, and they pushed it back in, but the mouth guard's giving him discomfort, so I think he's discarded it.
Okay, there's a kick downfield by Ricky Stewart. Still anybody's game, but Canberra in the vanguard. That's a beautiful kick by Ricky Stewart, finding touch on the Balmain quarter, and the Balmain winger on that far side of the field is Steve O'Brien, and he really had to look into the sun there and had no chance there. It was beautifully pinpoint accuracy there from Ricky Stewart. Balmain locked up again, and quite frankly, they must be wondering how they're going to get through this green defence. It's certainly something that Balmain expected today, but they expected to have the answers to their way through it or over it. But right at this moment, no indication that they're going to crack them. But rugby league's a funny game, and as I speak, Gary Jack cracks them, gives it to Freeman, but the defence is good, and it's Dean Lance getting out of the scrum to make a brilliant tackle.
Back to Michael Neal. He's around 1 or 2. He got around Coyne, still going. He tried to pass back inside, but he's knocked to the ground 35 metres out from the Canberra goal line. A quick play, the ball sees Benny Elias shoot it out to Freeman, across now to Sirinen, charging forward, but he's knocked down 30 metres out from the Canberra goal line.
Plenty of time in this game. There's only 15 minutes gone in the second half. Roach goes up the centre. Balmain starting to go up that centre area now.
Up now, Roach. Plays it to Elias, gives it out to Maguire. He slips, goes down, but offloads. Brasher's knocked the football on. Meninga coming at him at 100 miles an hour, and he's put it down, disgusted with himself, so the scrum will go down. And we'll have Ricky Stewart to feed this one for the Canberra Raiders.
Crowd's just come through, Greg. 23,252. 23,252. I think that's the best for a rugby league game here. And coming from the field now is...
That is Chrissy O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan.
Yeah, I can't understand that one, but we'll wait and see. Belcher's up into the 5'8 position. Ricky Stewart passes off to Laurie Daly. Daly now, he gives it across now into the arms of the young bloke going forward, and that's Mark Bell. Bell now plays the ball back to Mal Meninga. Meninga charges forward too from the back of the ruck, and he's knocked to the ground.
That's a ground record for rugby league, Greg. 23,252. A ground record here.
Isn't that great?
At Bruce Stadium this afternoon. So we'll check the makeup of that back line. Probably it's Bell's gone to the centre and Laurie Daly to 5'8.
Yes, but on that last scrum, we had the other bloke up while they were getting the position sorted out, and that was Gary Belcher. But he passes off the Bell. He's got some toe. He turns it back into Ferguson. Back now to Gary Belcher. Belcher's around Siranen. Still going forward, but they catch up with him. James Grant first in, and Big Ciro hitting him from behind. One tackle left to go. Plays it to Ferguson, goes across to Ricky Stewart, wide out now to Laurie Daly, then on to Big Mal Meninga. Meninga goes over the top of one, just fends off another one. McCann from behind catches up, and a change over of possession.
Well, he went straight over General Custer there in Kevin Hardwick. He just went straight over the top of him, but McCann picked him up from behind. Balmain have got to work hard, and it's now to Elias, on to Maguire. Maguire standing out in the centres and running across field, and that's not the way for them to go. Elias goes from dummy half. On to James Grant. Grant well held by Bell, gets away from Bell. Bell comes at him again and puts him down 10 metres from halfway.
Bell. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
Bells are ringing.
For me and Miguel, and we've got Benny Elias going down just short of the halfway line. He plays it back to Grant, goes across to Freeman. Good pass out to Hardwick once again. Oh, and Hardwick has pulled down that time by Bradley Clyde. No teeth. He'll get up now. He plays the ball back to Freeman, back across to Roach. Roach shows it inside, gives it back to Gary Jack. But Gary's pulled down too and trying to scramble to his feet to quickly play the ball to John Elias. Freeman across to Neil. Neil drops it off the end of the booty, going back. Gary Belcher beautifully picks it up on the volley. He can play and slips any time with me.
That's better variety from Balmain. Better variety, and just starting to get this Canberra side on the back pedal a bit. Canberra have had plenty of opportunities, but have only come up with one try from an Elias mistake. Look at Bradley Clyde. What a player.
Yeah,
under difficulty today, and he's up now 30 metres out from his own goal line. Not saying much out there.
Plenty of claret coming out of his gob. He'll be in York Street, I think, for a pint or two at the end of this game. But now we've got Walters giving it back to Coyne. Oh, he nearly mishandles that one. Freeman came over the top to knock him down. Again, one tackle left to go. They're 40 out from their own goal line. Ricky Stewart says, I'm putting the pill downfield. Gary Jackson. Oh, Ferguson coming through. He thinks he's onside. What does the referee say? He agrees with Chicka Ferguson, and he steamrolls Gary Jack. Oh, and a knock on by James Grant. A kick for the ball. Ferguson's going to score. Ferguson scores. I said he was going to score, and he did. And I'm here to tell you, that's the ball game, baby.
Well, what a terrible mistake by James Grant. James Grant has made a shocking mistake. And old Chicka Ferguson, he got up there and tackled Jack. God, James Grant knocked the ball. It was kicked forward by Laurie Daly, and Ferguson's won the race to the ball. He's come up with it, no shadow of doubt. A terrible mistake by James Grant. The ball kicked ahead, and Ferguson won the race to the ball. No shadow of doubt. Got the ball with a downward motion for a fair try, and Chicka Ferguson, age shall not weary them, particularly on Mother's Day, and Chicka's gone in to wrap it up for the Raiders. They lead by 10-0 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard, and that's 20 minutes into the second half. 10 points to nil, and well, that 6-0 scoreline flattered Balmain, flattered them beyond, well, if you weren't here to see it, you couldn't believe it. Now it's probably more like the trend of the game. 10-0, Ferguson the try after a dreadful error by James Grant.
Okay, Mal Meninga back on the kicking scene.
Gee, Greg, when you look at it, Grant's mistake and Elias's mistake has cost them dearly.
Yep.
And this Canberra side certainly can capitalise on any mistake. The mistake by Elias in the first half.
There's the kick now from Mal Meninga. He's punched this one. No follow through by Chicken George, and it's gone away to the right-hand side.
10 points to nil on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard, and that was a dreadful mistake by James Grant. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Still, they persisted with that kick across the field, testing Balmain for speed. They had to come up with a result sooner or later. They forced the error.
Yeah, they certainly did. Good tactics from Canberra, and John Ferguson just goes to show you that if you chase in this game, you can sometimes get the results. And he chased. He didn't get the result first up, but he did second up.
Gary.
Okay, Balmain just simply have to score in the next 5 or 10 minutes or they're out of this game and their first defeat in 6 games.
Back now it goes to Walters across to Coyne, and Coyne just busting them too. Elias desperately hanging onto him to pull him down. Running with a lot of confidence now, the Raiders, as this time it's Lazarus charging forward. He meets Blocker Roach centre field, 32 out from his own goal line and goes down. Siranen also in there. Plays it back to Walters from the back of the ruck. He picks up another 5 metres or so. He'll play it back into the arms this time of Lazarus. Looking for Ricky Stewart, but down the blind side the call's on too. Ricky Stewart takes the ball and he takes precedence over Bradley Clyde's call. Puts the football way down to within 8 metres of the Balmain goal line. Picks it up, has run the distance. Clyde's up there to hammer him, and that's exactly what he does on the far side in company with Paul Martin. He'll play the ball to Steve O'Brien, who sends it centre field across into the arms this time of Michael Neal, and Neal is knocked to the ground. And Freeman screaming for his players to get back and assist as Freeman passes off now to O'Brien. Oh, and O'Brien is stopped by a Lazarus tackle. Oh, it was a bone crusher, that one. Back it goes once again to Bruce Maguire. Gives a good pass to Hardwick, but Laurie Daly's got hold of General Custer. And the White, this is the little bighorn here this afternoon. He plays the ball back again.
It always is with you.
Back it goes. A lot of people won't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
with that
they will now, Goose.
Back it goes. Back it goes now into the arms of Freeman. Then it goes across to Mickey Neal. His pass is a dreadful pass. Back picked up by John Elias. He throws another one back to Maguire. Maguire's coughed it up. Ferguson dives on the football again.
Well, they're absolutely mesmerised, this Balmain side. They're state-struck here against the Premiers. I think Canberra have the wood on Balmain on what I've seen here this afternoon, and that's got to be a worry for the Balmain camp and their coach Warren Ryan. They are overawed by this Canberra side, and I think there's more to come this afternoon. 23 minutes gone in the second half, and a Balmain player laid low by Big Mal Meninga, and it's the number three Ian McCann.
Yes, and now we've got Belcher going forwards, a straight palm off, but I think it may have got him around the throat area or wherever it got him.
Yeah, he's just about choking there at the moment.
Back it goes now to Ricky Stewart with a lot of ease. Stewart has a kick again across. Oh, it's stopped in the in-goal area. Grant's back to take this one. We'll get back into the field of play, but he's pulled down very, very quickly by Walters. Benny Elias, a dummy half, has got to go on his own. No one's back there with him now. O'Brien arrives on the scene, but he's got his legs chopped from under him, but he gets out of the tackle, gives it across to Michael Neal. Down the far side they go, but Martin's going to wrap him up just outside the Balmain quarter line, 26 metres away from the goal line.
And Balmain have called the doctor onto the field as Steve Roach goes up the blind side.
Beautiful pass back inside to Michael Neal, back to Hardwick again, and Hardwick tries to get up towards the halfway line before he's pulled down.
He's okay, McCann.
5 metres short of the halfway line. Hardwick's up the plate. The Ben Elias goes across this time into the arms of Maguire. Off a beautiful pass in the scissors movement from Freeman. Freeman again, a dummy half to Elias. He races through, the chips on. Ricky Stewart beautifully gains. Oh, he did the pass then across to Belcher, but he gets it back into the arms of Ferguson. Ferguson steps away. Ferguson takes off down the sideline. Gary Jack comes at him and then mows him over. Daly, Dean Lance starting to straighten up the attack going forward. John Elias with Siranen over the top to knock him down 9 metres again into Balmain territory. Daly serving one up this time for Brent Todd, who loses his footing and goes down. He'll play it to Walters once again. Forward pass to Lazarus. And Lazarus goes forward, but the referee has picked that one up, Pete.
Okay, Matthew Wood and Wayne Collins coming on for the Canberra side. So Collins is a very good hooker forward. He's coming on for Steve Walters, who's had a great game this afternoon. And Bradley Clyde going off as well.
Okay, both players
Clyde
leaving
off,
the field.
Daly goes to lock, and Matthew Wood goes to the centre.
Great effort from those two youngsters this afternoon, providing plenty of entertainment for the crowd here. As the ball now...
He's had a good game, Steve Walters. Excellent game.
Back it goes to McCann, so he's okay. But he's immediately taken in a good tackle by Laurie Daly.
Well, that's confidence for you. 15 to go. They lead 10-0, and they can take off two of their best players today in Bradley Clyde and Steve Walters.
I think it's lock-up time for them now as we see Freeman charging forward.
It only takes one converted try and Balmain are back into it. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, what a game Bradley Clyde. That 80 minutes the other night. He's been the first chaser today, a couple of breaks, and he's had that awful injury, a lot of blood and a bad knock to the jaw.
Yeah, he certainly has. And still, no penalty in the second half, and we've had 26 minutes of play. I'm not saying I want one. This is beautiful. I'm just saying it is unusual.
Back it goes now to Collins. He gives it across to Dean Lance. On to Mal Meninga again. Maguire's got hold of him, and he's knocked him to the ground. He'll get up to play the ball. It's Wayne Collins at dummy half once again. He looks for Clyde, but Clyde, I should say...
can't look for him. He's having a shower.
Well, the fellow I meant then was Daly, Peter, as he's knocked to the ground on the halfway line. Collins at dummy half across to Ricky Stewart. Good pass this time out to Bell. Bell steps inside one, still going, but he's pulled down on the far side of the ground. Wood on there too now as we see Gary Belcher serve it up to Ricky Stewart. Stewart gets another kick downfield on the far side of the ground. Gary Jack goes across to take it inside of his own quarter line. He turns, plenty of chasers up there too. Goes down, gets a good pass back to O'Brien, who stumbles under the tackle of Bell 30 metres out from the Balmain goal line.
Score on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard after 27 minutes of the second half. It's Canberra 10, Balmain 0. Let's go to Tony Peters for footy tab on that scoreboard at the football stadium. Tony.
Brisbane 30, Eastern Suburbs 6.
30-6, and it's the Netherlands 3, Australia 1 in the women's hockey, which must be just about over.
Back now it goes to Elias, across this time to Michael Neal. Sirenen handles off, throws a dreadful pass. James Grant picks that one up very nicely, but he's tackled by Bell. 26 metres out from the Balmain goal line. McCann serves this one up this time to Roach charging forward. Coyne's got hold of him, so has Collins around the legs. They've got one left to go, the Balmain side, as Freeman gives it back to Benny Elias. He gets his kick in downfield. Ferguson is back there, so is Gary Belcher. Belcher getting to the football first, 9 metres out from his own goal line. Will come across, links up now this time with Ferguson. Ferguson fends off one through the gap, nearly steps away from the tackle, but desperately hung on to by Michael Neal.
And hasn't he had a great game, Chicka Ferguson, today? His opposite today, James Grant, hasn't got him yet. He's been a will-o'-the-wisp today, Chicka Ferguson. Excellent performance by the veteran. And there's a missed high tackle by Bruce Maguire on Brent Todd. Todd saw it coming and ducked under it. No contact. The referee saw it, though. His Coyne has worked hard up to the halfway mark. Canberra 10, Balmain 0, 12 minutes to go.
Collins in a scissors movement back to Ricky Stewart, races through. The chip was on to Gary Jack, and Stewart race for the ball. Gary Jack getting to it first of all. Going back now into the dummy. Oh, it's on now.
Well, Ricky Stewart should be penalised there. He was all over Gary Jack, and Gary Jack's given him plenty now as they rip into it.
Yeah, they're ripping in all right, and Gary Belcher's got hold of Gary Jack. Poor old Jimmy Jack didn't know who had hold of who then. He just dragged him over the touchline.
Yeah, well, Ricky Stewart's ended up on the wrong end of that, and he should be sent to the sin bin. He started it, and Gary Jack finished it. I've got no doubt about that. Gary Jack got back to the football, and then going in, no knees, but then grabbing hold of the jumper, and then just not letting Gary Jack play the ball, and swinging the first punch was Ricky Stewart.
Yeah, he did throw the first punch, but Gary Jack did lunge at him from the play the ball.
Well, the other bloke was hanging on to him, Greg. He's entitled to. If it had got off him, it would have been fair enough.
Yep, well...
No doubt in my mind that Ricky Stewart started it. It's got to be a penalty to Balmain.
The referee will sort this one up, no doubt. I think that the boys in green have gone back to 10 metres. The touch judge is in. They were both right over there. Well, I tell you what, have another assessment of it now, Peter.
Well, Gary Jack jumped to his feet.
Have another
penalty to Balmain, as I said.
Well, we'll all see that on the Channel 10 replay. You're not getting out of this one, Snakey.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean, and so will the entire audience, the 1.5 million of them.
Well, they did produce a different angle.
Oh, yes, they did.
And there was a sign of a headbutt from Gary Jack.
I'm going to turn it up.
But it wasn't evident in the first place, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so
but
it
you
was
changed
the last
your mind.
And then they snuck that one in on me, and that really... I don't blame... Okay, both of them at fault. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
I'll tell you what happened. Jack resented the tackle. He put it on.
Yeah, well, he certainly did. There was a headbutt there, or a hint of it, and the touch judge obviously didn't report that way because the penalty went the way of Balmain. Okay, Tigers in possession. They're down 10-0.
Yes, and John Elias serves a good pass up for Freeman, and he coughs up possession. Very uncharacteristic of that young bloke. But Lazarus just shrugs off one, and down he goes. The crowd are loving this one. He'll play it back now. It goes to Wayne Collins. Tries to make a break from the back of the ruck, but can't do that. Lazarus again a dummy half across to Daly. Gives a good pass out to Dean Lance through the gap again. Dino, the little legs are pumping. Now Gary Jack comes up to take him. This is a great game. I love this. Back to Mal Meninga now. Meninga getting a pass across to Daly. Daly trying to go through the gap. A pass back now to Bell. Oh, look at him go. Ding dong. Ding dong goes the bell.
Ding dong, the Tigers are dead. Ding dong, the Tigers are dead. Balmain out of this game now. Beautiful pass by Laurie Daly onto Matthew Bell. And the replacement has gone. Crash bang, thank you, ma'am. He's raced 40 metres to score. Laurie Daly, he's gone this well while he's been sick. He just got into the gap and gave Bell the ball. And no one in Balmain was going to catch Bell. Bell's raced in and scored a magnificent rugby league try. Beautiful pass. It was from Meninga to Daly. Daly stood in the tackle. Bell came from a long way back. And the kid in jumper number 40 has raced 40 metres to score. Magnificent try. 14-0, and that's more like the superiority of this Canberra side today. A shutout at Bruce. A brilliant performance by the Canberra Raiders. 14-0, and they have the Wood, Matthew Wood, Mark Bell and the rest of them on the Balmain Tigers. 14-0 with a kick to come.
Okay, and this one to come this time from Laurie Daly.
Pass from Daly.
So we've had, it was a great pass. Daly's going to have a shot at this goal.
Well, he can do everything else.
He sure can. As he comes in, he just has a look. What can he do with this? When they're going to get right up under this, no, they're not. It's going to be waved away.
Okay, so none out of one for none out of one for that young fellow, Laurie Daly. None out of two for Mal Meninga, and 1 out of 3 for the only successor today in Gary Belcher. Gary Coyne off for the Canberra side. 14-0 over Balmain on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard. Let's go to Tony Peters at the Sydney Football Stadium.
No change. Brisbane 30, East 6.
30 points to 6. And, well, there can be no doubting, Greg, you can have all the other sides in the comp. From what I've seen again today, this is the side that you have to beat to win it. If anyone can, good luck to them. They're going to have to be good.
They sure are. Game underway now. And we've got Woods on for the Canberra side. He's pulled down. He plays it now to Collins. Back again to Dean Lance. And Dean Lance is going to be held up on his own quarter line by Sirenen. Again, Collins at dummy half across the young Glenn Lazarus. He's taken big block of Roach on that time. Roach pulls him to ground. He gets up to play the ball back again to Wayne Collins. Benny Elias has got hold of him from the back of the ruck to pull him down 10 short of the halfway line. Lazarus at dummy half. Oh! And Roach has just put Lazarus out of it.
Here.
He could be off here.
Yeah, he could go straight off.
Blocker could go here. The touch, he's calling the touch judge in, saying, I'll hit him with the shoulder.
Yeah, well, looking at it on the replay, Greg, it was, it's not a good one, but I don't think it's a stiff arm. No, I don't think it's a stiff arm on the replay. It's a shoulder charge and a left arm over the top, but not across the head area.
No,
I think on the shoulder area.
Yep.
I think more on the shoulder,
and the referee saw it.
That probably saved him. The referee saw it, but oh boy, it didn't look good to the naked eye.
It sure didn't, and the referee had a good look at it, hence only the penalty to take the precedence over that situation. Well, Todd's up there and charging again back into the Balmain quarter line.
And Lazarus is up again, tough as teak.
Yes, going through again is Laurie Daly, still struggling. They can't stop him. Look, he's still picking up yards. He's broken the tackle. He's broken the tackle. Oh, he's only centimetres from the line with 3 of the Tigers all over him. Up again now to play it, and it's going to be back to Collins. A quick pass off this to Mal Meninga. Meninga bounces off 1 or 2. He can't get his pass away. Sirenen's got him wrapped up, and he's pulled down again 4 metres out from the Tigers' goal line. Wayne Collins once again a dummy half. The call's on to Stewart. It goes out this time to Woods. A long pass over to Martin. Martin pushes one off. He drops it off the end of the toe. Gary Belcher, the chases on James Grant, runs it out the back door, and so would I.
They're much too good for Balmain. They're on a different planet this side than Balmain. I tipped Balmain today to beat Canberra.
Well, they're wearing green.
I thought they would have had a better preparation, but I won't be tipping against them again in 1990. I can tell you that right here and now. Excellent display by Canberra, and 14-0, and that scoreline flatters Balmain. It's just been a comprehensive victory by this Canberra Raiders side. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Yeah, 14-0 and 4 first half chances bombed, about 25 difference. Fair
It certainly is. Unbelievable difference between these two sides today. Balmain, who've looked so good, they've won 5 in a row. They're a good football side, but they're playing a champion football side this afternoon.
They sure
this
are.
Canberra side just too good. Check the score at the Sydney Football Stadium. Tony Peters.
Brisbane 30, Eastern Suburbs 12.
30-12 in favour of Brisbane over Eastern Suburbs. 3-1 to the Netherlands over Australia, and 14-0 to Canberra over Balmain.
Lazarus again charging forward. He steps away from Ben Elias' tackle, pulled down by Roach. Plays it to Wayne Collins. Goes to Ricky Stewart. Attempted field goal. Hits the upright back into the arms of Little Freeman. Miraculous take. So quickly that happened, but he took it very well, Freeman. Plays it now to Roach, goes across to Elias. A long pass picks up John Elias, standing flat-footed. Goes right back to where Benny threw the pass. They've gained no yards, and he's knocked to the ground. He'll get up the plant. Back to McCann. He goes across to the far side of the ground, at least picked up 2 or 3 yards before he goes down 10 metres out from his own goal line.
And there's something about this Balmain forward pack. When they meet Canberra, you know, they go into the game with the names and the form on the board, but Canberra somehow have got the answer to this Balmain forward pack. Balmain have tried hard in the forwards today, and it's been the backs where they've been murdered, but, you know, they haven't won the battle in the forwards either. Here's James Grant, who's had a sad game, trying to get away now.
Good pass across to Brasher. Brasher's going to be run down by Chicka Ferguson.
Look at the cover.
Yeah.
Ferguson.
4 of them back there.
And also Wood there, and 3 others coming across.
Back it goes now to Freeman. A beautiful pass picks up Ben Elias in the centre of the ground. He's got another cutout pass to Maguire. Maguire's going to turn it back inside. It goes to Sirenen this time. Sirenen back this time to James Grant. James Grant through the gap, and overhead pass this time to Michael Neal. But the pass to blocker goes to Bill. And Bill has got the football well and truly as he's knocked to the ground just outside his own quarter line.
OK, Laurie Daly down in back play, and of course he was in a lot of doubt with the flu. 3-1 to the Netherlands over Australia. 3-1 to the Netherlands over Australia. What are you trying to give me a signal on?
I think he got a knock in the sternum, Peter, because he reeled off a tackle of Bruce Maguire's earlier and got a bit of an elbow in the chest, Pete. OK, you're right. He's hanging on to that chest area now, Greg. Tough as teak, though, Will Daly from Junee. The Junee Express. What a game he's had this afternoon. Back it goes down to Wayne Collins. Oh, a little chip up over the top by Mal Meninga, but Gary Jack beautifully up there to take that for the Tigers, and he's knocked down. Gets up now to play the ball.
2 minutes left in the game, 14-0 to Canberra, and what a grand record they've got in defence. Only 52 points scored against them in 8 games of football. That's a marvellous achievement, and by far the best defensive record in the competition. And they're a runaway leader of the points forward, you know, rather than any other side. Here's Elias. That's John, and he's up to 30 metres out from the Canberra goal line.
Whatever they do now, it'll only be a token, but I think they'll keep their line intact, the Green Machine. Benny Elias gets a kick in again behind the line. Ferguson's back there, picks up that football 2 metres out from his own goal line with Gary Belcher back there to act as dummy half.
Gee, Greg, they've only conceded 6 points a game. That's a marvellous achievement, isn't it?
Yes, fantastic.
Just over 6 points a game. Terrific performance.
Awesome football team. Gary Belcher takes his time getting up to play this back to Bell. Gives it out now to Woods. He puts his head down, and he's just going to be taken up over the top this time by Roach. Quickly plays it this time to Collins. Collins goes away. Roach is over the top of him in company with Siren and trapped inside their own quarter line. Lazarus gives it back this time to Mal Meninga. It goes across to Martin. Martin going to be taken by McCann, and he's slammed down just outside the Canberra quarter line.
Our 2GB Mad Barry's man of the match this afternoon has gone to Laurie Daly. 3 points to Laurie Daly, 2 points to Steve Walters, the hooker, and 1 to John Ferguson. A great game on the wing. But they've scooped the pool, the Canberra Raiders, and they've got the best 10 players on the field here this afternoon at Bruce Stadium. A crowd of 23,252, and certainly Laurie Daly, our 2GB Mad Barry's man of the match.
Okay, and this kick gone over the touchline, a scrum to go down, and it'll be put down some 38 metres, 40-odd metres out from the Balmain goal line to be fed by Freeman for the Tigers. They win it too. Straight across now to Michael Neal. Out to Gary Jack. Comes back inside. Matthew Wood up there quickly to claim him in company with Belcher. He'll play it to Freeman once again. Michael Neal, a dummy half, trying to get away, but he's going to be pulled down now. And there she goes, Zorba.
Yeah, full time, big win, 14 points to 0 to Canberra over Balmain. If I ever tip against Canberra again, Greg, send me to the Silly Farm.
Okay, son.
Okay, that's where I want to go. Straight to the Silly Farm. Won't pass go. Balmain, I don't think, can match this Canberra side. A terrific performance. 23,252 for Canberra. Tries to Ferguson, Daly, and to Mark Bell. 1 goal from 3 attempts to Gary Belcher, and a tremendous performance today by this Canberra Raiders side. Outstanding football side. They certainly played very, very well this afternoon, and they deserve all the accolades that they've got here this afternoon. Outstanding performance by the Canberra Raiders, and they never looked in any shadow of doubt here this afternoon at the Bruce Stadium. Excellent stuff, and it was by far the better side that won the day. Let's go to Tony Peters at the Sydney Football Stadium.
Just got full time here now, Peter. Win to Brisbane by 36 points to 12.
36 points to 12. Okay, an excellent performance. Let's go down now to, I imagine, a very tired Meninga, who's had 2 big games this week. George, congratulations. You've shut them out 14-0, and I think that scoreline flatters Balmain.
Thanks, Zorba. We thought we played pretty well today. All we want to do is get ball security because we've maintained the ball all the time. We knew they'd get tired.
Well, a record crowd, 23,252. That's a beautiful surface you play on there, and the guys ran the football very well.
Yeah, it's a nice open track. It's pretty fast, and I'm just glad that the supporters here come in and watched us win.
Mal, at half-time, they were standing all over the top of you, and I noticed you grubber kicked a lot in the second half, and it really paid dividends. Were they the tactics from Tim Sheens at the break?
No, not really. We sort of read the play. We knew they were coming up pretty quick, and that's the option. If they're coming up pretty quick, put them behind and keeps them in 2 minds. But we scored some opportunist tries today, and I'm just happy we got away with 2 points.
Well, the big thing about the game too, you were in some doubt, so was Laurie Daly with a flu, and so too were several other players that had to back up from Wednesday night. But that terrific spirit that got you the Winfield Cup last year looks very much alive and well, and was evident there today.
Yeah, we had to win the 2 points today. We knew if we win today that we could probably shoot clear a little bit of the people chasing us, and that was our main aim today, just get 2 points and make sure that the 8 guys that are backing up, we just put an effort in today.
In your early days here, the side couldn't beat Balmain, but no problems now.
Well, that was our first win at home against Balmain in all the years that Canberra's been in the competition, and like I said, like I keep on saying, I'm glad it was today.
Yeah, certainly, and well, you've got to restock now and go to Perth on Friday night. You guys did it last year. You had a tough game there last year, unexpectedly against Canterbury, and you've got Manly there on Friday night.
Yeah, they're going to be very difficult, even though they lost on Friday night. They had a number of guys backing up after Wednesday, and I imagine they would have done it pretty tough just to get over their injuries, and I think they'll be pretty fighting fit on Friday night. I'm looking forward to going to Perth.
Okay, people talk about Canberra's attack, but gee, your defence, 52 points scored against you in 8 games, just over 6 a game. Magnificent achievement.
Yeah, that's our priority at this stage. We know that each team's going to come out and they're going to play well against us, no matter what team plays us, and we know that if we keep our defence intact and make sure that we put an effort there, that they'll come up with the mistakes, and we've got the ability to capitalise on that.
Okay, how's the knee? You were in a bit of doubt for this game, but it's okay?
Yeah, a little bit sore, but I felt pretty good out there today. I'm just glad I got through the 80 minutes.
Okay then, thanks very much.
Thanks,
good luck
Lord.
on Friday.
Thanks
There
a
he
lot.
is, Meninga. Great performance from him today too in the Canberra side. Big chicken George. And